Welcome back to another episode of Emotional Nightmares, still down here in Butler at Club 831. So if you are struggling, you just need a place to go, get some food, kind of hang out, get some recovery, come to Club 831 down here in Butler. On today's episode, I got with us a gentleman that I got to meet actually at a retreat. Where I got to meet him. He's going to come share with us his experience, his strength, his hope. So with that, I'm going to give you Justin.
I'm Justin. I'm here to share experience, strength, and hope.
I know it sounds weird when you do it like that, right?
Yeah, I get it. It's good you actually gave this place a shot. I never thought I'd be in Butler to get sober ever. I never thought I'd get sober. But I guess start out from the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, I guess as far back as we can go, I was, you hear that standard thing. I lived the normal life with the white picket fence, and I got the preacher of a father, and my mom's in the medical field, and they're very lucrative and do what they do. But long story short, starting at everything, I didn't even know the father until I was roughly about 8 years old. I grew up with a twin sister and my mom and my grandma down in Pittsburgh, and then randomly, about 8 years old, I found out I had a dad, and that's kind of like when things change. I moved up to the city of Newcastle, which is trash in itself.
I like Newcastle, though. I really do.
They got good food. That's about it.
I mean, I like it. I used to live up on Blunston Street, up there by the old Bubble Bear, right by the courthouse.
Yeah.
Up there. But hey, I mean, I guess it's trash if that's what you think.
It's just my home city, Anybody pretty much says that about
I get it.
But yeah, that's where we ended up, and I found out I had a brother and a sister, and that's when things you kind of find out you didn't grow up in a white picket fence. Like I said, I got a twin sister, and she lives in Southern California now, but I also have another sister. It's 5 months older than I am. Which in turn, and this comes into play with my resentments, we'll get into that, but it turns out my preacher father had an affair on his wife with my mom, and that was a hidden thing. We were the bastard kids of the church, and we were hidden. And then, something, whatever his story is, eventually there was a point where he wanted to have access to his children, and hence here we are, and we move up to Newcastle. And now we're supposed to be in this picture-perfect, church-going family. And that was one of those things. Every time I walked into church, it was I always felt shunned. Now, I don't know if it's my perspective and viewpoint, or if it did happen, or if it's a combination of both. But this is a big play in my story. When I start looking back on it, this was kind of it. I remember trying to do those church shows or whatever they do. When you're a kid, singing the choir and whatnot, and it just never really, I don't know, none of it really made sense. Everything was always forced, and we always brushed a lot of shit under the rug. I got to see, the vile side of how religion can be a sword and manipulated, which, there's another really big play there. It comes in is this older brother, and I share this for a reason. I'm not really stressing it out because it's something I got past, but there's trauma. There was trauma that happened to me when I was a child, and if anybody's watching this or whatever, you can kind of pinpoint the pieces. But long story short, my brother's a piece of shit, and that was something that when it got mentioned, all of a sudden I was the one that was supposed to be taken out and put away. I was the one that was to be covered up, even though I was the one being abused. That was something that I couldn't quite figure out. And I think that was directly when I turned my back on the world with that killer be killed mentality. Is when I finally, that was it. You can't hurt me if I don't allow it to happen. So from there, I go up and
I mean, I think that plays a part in a lot of people's story, right? Is a lot of people experience this trauma and like when we're experiencing trauma and we go to somebody like you're told to, and you go to somebody and you're like, this is happening, and they're like, oh yeah, no, shut up, don't talk, no, go over here, and like you're not being taken serious, then it's like, man, fuck the world then. I'm being hurt and like nobody's listening. Like fuck everybody. And I think that's what creates. I mean, that's kind of what breeds us as addicts and alcoholics. I mean, it's kind of like our breeding ground is like trauma, and when trauma is happening and nobody's taking it serious.
Yep. I don't. I can agree with that. I solely agree with that on our aspects, right? And like I hear a lot of times, and this is one line that you will never hear out of me. I do not like saying that my parents did the best they could with what they had. My parents failed me. And the reason I say that is because I'm now, I have the privilege of being a father. And I'm talking about an actual hands-on dad, more than just the monetary value. Like I spend time with my children now. And I know when they had a bad day at school.
Right.
You know what I mean? I know when they're off. I know when they're stuck in their head. I know what something's going on. And we talk about those things. And we sit down and we discuss them. So, like, I look back because like, my therapist was the one that actually pointed that out and was like, for you to think that they didn't know something was going on, you'd be lying to yourself. And she, like, we talked about that with, like, my children. So, like...
I agree with you. I mean, I hate that statement too, right? And I hate that statement because I think it takes out the accountability and it keeps the denial alive, right? And it keeps no, like you know better.
Right.
Right.
You're the parent.
Just like us, right? Like when I was, as an addict, like when I was fucking up, like people are like, no, dude, like you know you're fucking up. I'm like, yeah, I do, but like, you know what I mean? Like it's that denial. So like, no, I agree with you. I hate that statement of like, well, they did the best they could. Is it?
Right. Yeah.
Is it?
Did they? Right.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah, dude, and that was just like one of those things. That shit was difficult. You know what I mean? Like as a kid, there's really nowhere you can turn. And like, fortunately, my aunt and uncle were saints, beautiful, beautiful human beings. But like at this point in time, I mean, at this point in time, it was too late. I was already on the search of like getting outside of myself. I was already on the search of being defiant. I mean, I think I was like, maybe 10 or 11 years old the first time I started smoking pot. Probably no more older when I started drinking. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then, we run into that fun-filled epidemic, the opioid epidemic, late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, that puts...
Purdue?
Yeah. Purdue Pharma, and
yeah,
you got $50, you're entitled to a script.
Yeah, they fucked us up.
And that's where it started. And I'll tell you what, once pain pills came into play, that's it was fun. Everything about that was fun. I felt superhuman. I had that superhero ability to continue to keep working, going, whatever the case may be. All of that shit was fun when I was a teenager. And I continued, and as we go, everything ends up being progressive, and there comes a point where like the prices started going up, where it ends up being cheaper to get heroin, and that's
much cheaper.
I remember skipping math class in my sophomore year, going in the bathroom shooting dope. Those were still managed to like get through high school by the skin of my teeth, going up to a Catholic private school, and that's what I did. I had that and I kind of like fed off that bad boy mentality, that the outcast of the class, the one that everybody knew where to go get something from, the person that could party, and like the worst part about it is like, dude, school came easy. That was like a very simple thing. Learning whatever the hell it was, but I didn't really care. I didn't find purpose in any of those things. I didn't even find purpose in my extracurricular activities. Like when I started doing pain pills is when things really escalated. When I started doing heroin is when things like really took off. And then, like I said, graduating, I barely made it through. But I did. And then that's, like I said, at that point in time, I'd already been shooting dope for probably 2 years, hiding it on and off, and then it got bad. Things got bad. Quick, multiple times. I've been locked up more times than I can count. I've been charged with more things than I can even remember. Anywhere from your DUIs to grand thefts to just everything in between, man. And that's my whole 20s. That's pretty much where I spent it. And I think the worst part is like I ran around without any reason to care about anybody else solely other than myself. I was out. I would steal and rob off of everybody, and that was just my life. And I was like perfectly okay with it. And along that way, like I said, I do have children, and they came about in my 20s. I was married way too young, of course, because we go back to that church aspect where if you get somebody pregnant, now all of a sudden you got to have a shotgun marriage. And neither of us wanted to do it, but our families had aptly forced us into it. I think my ex-wife was 6 or 7 months along when we actually got married, and this was all within the same year. Same year we find out we're pregnant. It's the same year that we're married. The same year that we have the baby, and the same year that we're separated. That all happened in the same year. My drug play came into that, but that was the first damage that I had really done to somebody else, and namely like an innocent child that had no play in it at all. I still try to mend and work on that relationship, and we'll get there with a little bit of time. But so yeah, starting out, and then it was back to the races and back doing what I did, and being spiteful and full of hate, only really wanting to run around and get high. And that was that was the gig, man. And along the lines, I met another woman, and we have 2 beautiful children together. And I inherited a stepdaughter that comes along with that, and she's the coolest ever. What baffles me is I look back, dude, and the kids that I have they're good. I think that's probably the best blessing out of sobriety is they're good children, man.
What was that moment? Right? So I always ask everybody, what was your moment, right? Because
my moment of clarity?
No, the moment of I guess it's clarity, right? That moment where you're just fuck, I gotta change. Fuck, something's gotta be different. I gotta do something different. I can't keep getting high.
I think the first time I had that, I didn't even have children. I think the first time I've done that would have happened in there. I clearly remember a point I was living in Southern California out there with my mom and my sister, and that was the first time I realized I really had a problem. It was when I was started to steal pain pills off of my mom, and as time goes, but that actual point where something had to change and be different, I will never forget that point. It was September 11th, 2015. And we were talking about it before this show, but there was a point where me and my kid's mom, we got in trouble, and they came into my house, and we lost the kids to the state. They took them, and the reason I remember that day, it's because it was my youngest daughter's birthday. Clearly September 11th, everybody just knows anyway. But that day was a little different for me, They came in, and there was nothing we could do, and they took them. And I ended up using that excuse for an additional 2 years. I wallowed and ran on self-pity, and the world's completely against me, and I went in. I went on a full suicide mission as fast as I possibly could to do everything and anything. Dude, to dull the pain. I mean, looking back, I can call it for what it was. To dull the pain of all the bullshit that I had caused. But at the same time, being so selfish that I had the freedom now to go do what I didn't. Because there was no responsibility, The kids that got taken, they ended up with their grandmother. And with all due right, I had no rights to go see those children. I mean, I was nothing but a cancer. on their lives. You know, like wanting so bad to like go take them a baby doll or go take them like shoes or something like that, knowing like if I could get my foot in the door, maybe I could steal one of their tablets to go like hawk it to go get something. Like that's like where my lows ended up taking me, and I went on that run for a while. Like I said, it was almost 2 years until that moment we were just talking about. I remember that one. It was September 4th, 2017, and that was the time where I finally was like, there has to be a point where it's enough. There has to be a point in time where like something has to give. And you either pick a side, you know, you either continue down this path and you know where you're going to end up going and eventually it's going to put you in a grave, or like you have to give something else an opportunity. And no, I had been into like rehabs and jails and everything like that multiple times over. But this one wasn't to get a judge on my side. This one wasn't for me to get out of trouble or get my family off my back. This one was, I was living in an abandoned building. And there had to be something different. And I had one pair of clothes. I was clear down to a animalistic level. One pair of socks, one shirt, a pair of shorts, and a book bag with all my stuff. Running in and out of abandoned buildings to try to sleep for the night, trying to figure out how to go and do whatever I needed to do. And that point, I remember looking in the mirrors. That last time I checked myself into treatment, I was 128 pounds. And for somebody who stands 6'2", at 128 pounds, I was death. I was literal walking death. And I still thought I looked good. You know what I mean? I still thought like...
we do, right?
Yeah.
Like, it always kills me. Like, I remember the first time I went to rehab, I walked in, and I don't talk about this often, but I remember the first time I walked in and I weighed like 94 pounds, right? And that was my moment, right? Because like I stepped on that scale, I weighed like 94 pounds. I looked like Skeletor. I thought I looked great before I walked into rehab. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, what the fuck? Where did I go? And I remember sitting in there, I can't even believe they let me into rehab, right? And like I was like reaching in my pocket and like cocaine was just falling out of like everywhere. I was like, apparently nobody's searching me. And like I'm still doing it, you know what I mean, in the bathroom. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what is wrong with me? Like, but it's funny, like when we look like death, how great we think we look, you know?
Yeah.
That always kills me.
Dude, 94 pounds.
Yeah, dude, I was dead. I was like playing xylophone on my ribs. It was awful.
Yeah,
it was awful.
Stomach touching your back.
Yeah, I was doing a lot of cocaine like every day.
Yeah.
All day. Just one after another.
Dude, I kept it up. I even, like that last run in treatment, I kept it up. I went in and clearly they give me the maintenance meds to bring me down and soften the blow. And, you know, they give you Suboxone in there and you're taking strips. And I continued. And I didn't, we did the 7-day detox, but for somebody like me, listen, people need cigarettes, you know. I'm gonna run my way down to detox. What's up?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got a pack of smokes for you.
Yeah.
Let me get that strip that's in your mouth. And I did that, man. And I did that through treatment. Even like, I don't even know where the hell I got it. Like I even got a needle at that point in time and kept it like in my room at rehab where I'm supposed to be trying to get clean, stashing shit, manipulating my way, going down.
But you still had that thought in your head, like if I want to do different.
Yeah.
Because like we don't talk, like we always criticize the people in rehab that are like, oh, you got high in rehab. I mean, I got high in fucking rehab, right? Like I did oxys in rehab, I did coke in rehab. But at the end of the day, there was still that thought, right? Like I still had that like, no, I got to do something different. And like even going to groups and shit like that, like I remember my counselor, Marty, he was the one that really kind of broke it down where I was like, huh, maybe I can do different. And like, I didn't learn while I was there. I was a fucking train wreck while I was in rehab. But when I left rehab, I was like, let me go to this meeting. You know what I mean? And that's what began the journey. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it was actually very similar. They took us out to a meeting, and there was somebody ended up saying something that it was the first time. It was legitimately the first time I heard somebody share pain like I felt on the inside. And I can't even tell you what they said, but like I just blatantly remember that. I remember like, damn, this dude knows like where I'm at, you know.
Yeah.
And I went to my counselor's office that next day. It was like towards the end of September. I was supposed to be getting out. It was like very, very soon. And at that point, you have your treatment plan set up. Like you're either going to long-term treatment or you're going home. Well, I was convinced I was going home, you know. And I went in and I looked at her and I said, I can't. I can't do this anymore. And I got completely clean with her in the office and told her like all the bullshit that I was doing. And by full means, they had every ability to throw me out, and they didn't. And I was like, I told her, I can't go home because I'm clearly going back to the exact same path. You know, I'm scared to death to go home. I know what's going to go happen. If I land in Newcastle, I know exactly what's going to happen. And she was like, Justin, you've already like, your treatment plan's complete. Like you have to go back. And I was like, no, I'm not. Like I refuse it. Like figure something out. And that was first thing. I bombarded her when she was there, and she came in before lunch and she called me back. She said, listen, I can get you in this long-term place, and it's the fifth hardest place in the state. And she was like, it's on the outskirts of Butler, PA, and I'm not going to plug them here. But I was ready. Like at that point, I was like, you know what? What the fuck do I have to lose? You know what I mean? I'm coming into winter. It's like almost October. It's going to be getting cold. Like at least, I'll give this a go. I'll see how this is. It is. But they like sold me a dream. You know what I mean? Like that place sold me a fucking lie.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
they deal.
There's horses and bowling and shit, and there's none of that. You know what I mean? There's none of it. It's zero.
Yeah.
And that day, the day I went there actually is my first. That was my first day sober. So now here I am trying to kick an opioid habit in a place where I'm supposed to already be clean. And it was rough, man. Those 2 weeks were rough. Those 2 weeks were fucking rough. But the guys, it was the guys that I got planted with. Those guys literally were there. They were my saving grace. They were the ones that swooped in when I didn't know any better, because like I had never taken meetings seriously. I've never been to a fucking meeting. I thought that like meetings at that point were like for a bunch of quitters and losers and weirdos. Like who the fuck hangs out in a basement and drinks coffee and talks about God? You know what I mean? I don't fucking want nothing to do with that. Like I could tell you what your God has done to me. I want nothing to do with this concept. So when they took me out there and I end up in that room with those guys, which is phenomenal, man. Those guys, out of the 4 guys that were in that room, 3 of us are still sober. 2 of them were in my wedding, which is unheard of. You know what I mean? Like I know without a doubt, looking back, we were in the right place for the right reason, back in room 102. And we fucking cut up laughing back there. I don't know how many times. Like, dude, we would have wrestling matches back there. Like, I remember my buddy fucking picked me up and slammed me off of a wall, and we put a big ass hole in the wall. And we're like, fuck, dude, we're in trouble for like damaging this shit. You know what I mean? I'm like, I gotta figure it out. I'm gonna go out in the morning and tell them I had a using dream. I don't even dream. Like, I don't even remember my dreams at all. And I was like, it must have been a using dream. We put a big ass fucking hole in the wall. But those guys, man, those guys, they at least showed me how to laugh, and I hated that facility. I ended up getting thrown out of it in the middle of January. But I'll tell you, the benefit that they did do is they took me, and I'm a 12-step fellowship person. I've gone down the other paths. I tried maintenance. I tried Suboxone. I tried methadone. I tried kicking drugs. I tried switching drugs. I tried being just your fucking 5 o'clock drinker after work. I tried to like just be the cocaine and a beer at the bar. I tried all of it. And no matter what I do, my path always takes me back down to I'm shooting dope somewhere, and I'm back to robbing, lying, cheating, stealing, and it everywhere. So like at that point, I realized that no matter what path I've taken, whether it was a 12 pack of Coors Light or just jumping straight to doing fucking cocaine at the strip club, I always end up in the same point. You know, I did well for a little bit on methadone, still ended up at the same point. I did well on maintenance for a little bit, still ended up on the same point. And like, for me personally, I had to get to a point where none of that was in play. You know what I mean? Like, you'll never hear me be like the one to like knock anybody for doing that. Like, anymore for me, as long as people are fucking alive, dude, that is like, if your quality of life is better, I'm all about it. But for me, I had to eliminate all aspects of it just because I'd tried so many times, and I ended up in the same place, holding my neck in an abandoned building, trying to shoot dope, wondering how the fuck I got back there, you know. And that place was bullshit, you know. That place was. They had like stupid fucking rules for no reason, and some of them were like okay, like making my bed turned out to be like a good thing, you know. But they introduced me to meetings, and that was like the first time I was able to sit down. And the guys in my room, they had tried 12-step fellowship before, so like I got to like spitball through them, like what's this all about? And they were like, dude, nothing. We like hang out and we fucking stay clean, you know. And I was like, okay, it's not, you know, too fucking bad. Meanwhile, I had nowhere to fucking
yeah,
go.
right.
You know what I mean?
No, I get it.
Fucking
That's why I'm
didn't matter.
laughing, right?
They
Like,
could have told me anything. We could have been crocheting, and I would.
That was my
there.
thing. Like when I first got sober, like because I hate new friends. Like I didn't at the time. I didn't like new friends, right? I've come to find like fuck them. Like fuck the old friends. Like I love new friends, right? Because like they're choosing to be with me, and like that's what I like. But I remember like when I first got sober, like I hung out with these 5 guys. The 5 of us got clean together. I mean, all still sober, but 5 of us got clean, and we would just sit there, and that was it, right? It was like I was like, I don't want to do this, and I'd be like, what are we doing? I'm like, we're gonna go out to dinner, and we're gonna go watch a movie and hang out, and I'm like, that sounds fucking stupid. But what else am I gonna do? It's either this or I go sell crack. So like, I guess I'll go do this, you know. And I come to find that like that boring shit was the greatest shit, you know.
Yeah.
I miss those days, actually.
Me too. It was simple.
Yeah. The simple,
super
like,
fucking simple.
Brand new in recovery, don't have no responsibilities, just, you know what I mean? Like,
It's clean and bullshit.
Yeah, like, I get to go to every meeting and go to King's all the time, and, like, I miss those
Eden
days.
Park, yeah.
Yeah, we had King's our way.
This was Eden Park. But yeah, super fucking simple.
Yeah.
And those guys, like, you know, they plugged me in with people, and when I got thrown out, it was actually, we're almost on the date of 7 years ago. It was the 21st. It was the 21st of January. I got pitched out in weather like this. It was freezing fucking cold. And I got thrown out with my bag of clothes. And at that point, I had a 2-week paycheck. Grand total $342. And that was my point of making the decision. Like, what do you do? You know what I mean? Like, I clearly go get like a quarter ounce and fucking go run around and do something. But, you know, what do you do? And I stayed, man. I put everything I had. I got a phone, and I went and I couch surfed at sober houses. I mean, I went in for a week, give somebody $100, they'd let me sleep on the couch. Because at that point in time, Butler was loaded with them. They were filled with 3-quarter houses. But there was no beds. Nobody had an available bed. But like everybody was okay with this guy running around sleeping on the fucking couch, and none of them knew me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I worked with a guy up at Ponderosa, Mike Bracken. He ended up he's dead, not from this. He died of like cancer. But that fucking man was a godsend for me. I mean, he literally had no reason. When I got thrown out of that facility, they, in theory, were not supposed to accept me, but that house did. And they let me stay on the couch there. And like I said, I surfed around for the next couple months, couch to couch to couch to couch. And then finally a bed opened up down at that house. And he called me instantly, and he was like, Jay Moore? And I was like, Mike? He's like, "We got a spot." I was like, "I'm fucking down there, buddy." You know what I mean? And I went down, and I finally had a room. It was my first time. I was probably maybe 6 months clean at that point in time. And then we get to those points where the conversations on the porch, dude. You know, like, fuck, me and those guys that had those conversations, they'd start at 10 o'clock at night, and next thing you know, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and we've covered everything from past to dark humor jokes to conversations about God to aliens to fucking, you know what I mean? Whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah.
And those
20 packs of cigarettes and a bunch of coffee.
Yep, and monsters.
Yeah.
Fucking smoking Newport 100s and downing monsters all at the same time.
Yeah.
Putting a cigarette out, smoking another one.
Yeah.
16 monsters in, 5 different concepts of God, you know what I mean? And maybe 2 steps worth of conversation. Yeah. Great time. And things got better. You know what I mean? Like, it got better. I was able to, like, look people in the eye, and life started getting better. And that point, like, I started thinking, is there something to the 12 steps? You know, is there has to be, like, if we're doing all right here, there has to be something to this. So I'm gonna go do the deal, and get myself a sponsor. And I did, and the guy I found is fucking amazing. You know, he just celebrated 20 years yesterday. Absolutely incredible human being. But, like, he took the time, man. He sat down, he listened to my shit. I'd call him, like, on, you know, random stuff that I knew nothing about, like grocery shopping or fucking how to be an adult. You know what I mean? And we would talk, and we started doing the mythical step work that everybody talked about.
That's my favorite. It's like when you get sober and you're like, wait, how do I do adult shit?
Dude, no idea.
You know? I remember when I got like, it was funny. Like, I remember calling my sponsor being like, Rocky, well, how do I turn the electric on? Like, who am I calling?
Right.
He's like, well, the company. I'm like, man, can I just give you $50 and you can go turn the electric on for me? He's like, no, we don't sell dope no more. It don't work like that. I'm like, bro, I'll find a female to do it for me then. And he's, you know what I mean? Right. Like, that's what I was used to, was like, I don't know how to do this shit, so I'll pay somebody else to do the simplest things for me. You know what I mean? And then it was like him sitting down and be like, okay, look, you fucking idiot, this is how you do it. And, like, that's how I felt. Like, he didn't say that, but I felt like he was like, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then it's embarrassing, right? So I'm like, oh, shit, like, I am an idiot. I can do this, you know?
Yeah.
It was always hilarious to me when we do that shit.
Dude, I had the grocery shopping. When I said that, I wasn't kidding. I'll fucking go to Walmart and I'll leave with fruit roll-ups and Doritos.
Yeah.
You know, like, maybe a couple sodas.
And a big bag of pizza rolls.
Yeah. How do you grocery shop?
I get it.
You know what I mean?
I still don't know.
Me neither. Glad my wife does it. You know? But, yeah, he took the time, man. And we went through it, and I dove in, and like as I went, things got better. But like, specifically this man, I trusted everything. I put all my trust into him. And I don't know if I did it out of spite or, like, if I had an excuse if all else failed. But that was my final. I made the decision to, like, give this an actual go. And we did, and I did what he did, and I went through the 12 steps, man. And as I did, you know, I did, like, the scary 4th and 5th step with him. But I trusted everything with him, man. I told him every secret, the ones that could still get me locked away today. You know, and that was my journey with him. And I will forever be grateful for him. I mean, years later, he was the one that actually ended up marrying me and my wife. Is because he put his value in me when like nobody else could see it. You know, he took the time, like we're supposed to do, just to help somebody out, and he helped me get on my feet. Show me the little things. I remember when I got approved for a fucking credit card, dude. I got a $300 credit line. You would have thought I won the fucking lottery. I did. I sent him a picture. I was like, dude, not to brag, $300 credit line. You know, no big deal. And yeah, man, as time went, like, I started, I come in and everybody's like, chase your dreams, do whatever the fuck you want to do, and as I went about this, and as like the years had gone by, I was like 2 years in. Finally, like my children came back into my life, and I'd pushed and pushed and pushed. And I remember when Grandma finally said that it was okay for me to go see them that day. And I went to a place called Cascade Park in Newcastle, and I had them for the full day. And we played in the water, and I finally understood like the value of time.
Mm.
That was literally all they wanted. And that day, I was like, this is it. You know what I mean? Like this is the path. Like I'm not coming back to Newcastle, but like this is the path. And we pushed and we pushed, and it was interesting because I ended up getting clean, and then a year later, my kid's mom, she followed suit, and I remember her telling me like, if you could get clean, that meant that she had a chance, because she partied with me, so she knew if I had a year clean and I was doing what I could do, we could probably figure this out. And she still stayed on her own path. She went to treatment. She ended up getting clean, and then I had lost my rights in their entirety, but she had not. So, as she put through a little bit of time, she was able to file a case and bypass the whole little bullshit system. It was easier for her to get the kids from her mom, and then us to sign an agreement. And that's exactly what happened. So like, we're going along, 2-3 years in, and like my kids are starting to come around. They're starting to hang out. I'm allowed to see them finally it turned into like a weekend visit, and things progressed, man. And they, I remember when they first stayed in my apartment that I had got, like my first apartment, when I got sober, and it was just like, it was surreal. It was surreal. It was an event that like, I moved in with a chick,
As we do.
Yeah, of course. I met a girl. And that was, dude, that's another fucking dumbass thing I did. I met this woman, I was like 90 days. Like maybe 2 weeks out of getting thrown out of treatment, I met a fucking girl.
Yeah. We've all been there.
Tons of them, you know what I mean? And, she, same thing, same fucking pathway. You know who she is, I told her this isn't a bad thing. She fucking try to get her on here. She might.
Who, your wife?
Yeah. I keep pushing for her.
She
wants me to know. Yeah, she was like, tell me how it is after like you're done.
She said, so she told my sister it was because of her anonymity.
Yeah.
I
said, don't fucking worry. She actually, I'll talk to you afterwards. She actually told me, like, I get it. I fucking understand it.
I told my sister to tell her to shut the fuck up and get on.
That's what I said.
I'll blur her out if she wants.
Yeah.
We can blur her.
Oh, yeah, you can do that shit, huh?
It's a computer. I can do all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
We
Turn
do
her into a dude voice.
Yeah. We'll do like an anonymous video.
Yeah.
Like one of those.
A shadowed one.
Yeah. I'll even give her a mask.
Just a silhouette.
We'll do some weird shit. Yeah. We'll even start the intro instead of my guy on a train with the cats. I'll do like the whole. Like world view, like breaking news, and it'll be her. I still got to put cats on it though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she would actually respect that.
Yeah, my cats are very important.
Yeah. Oh, we got a fat one at my house, big fat ass tuxedo cat.
Well, that's what so. I've never really shared this on air, but like that's why this is all even here, right? Like that's why I started all this. So like all the thumbnails have a cat involved in it, right? And like everybody always asks me like, why is there a fucking cat? And, like everything's a cat, right? So before this one started, I had did this thing. I did a part 1 through 7, right, on Facebook, right? And if you have Facebook, if you just type in under my post part 1, all 7 parts will come up, right? The beginning 3 of them were like they were a suicide letter. Like I was done. I mentally had an emotional breakdown. I was just done. Well, and then here comes my fucking sister, right? And she's like, "You gotta take this cat." And I was like, "What am I gonna do with this fucking cat?" And she was like, "He was born dead." And she's like, you gotta take him. Like, he's, I don't know. She's like, he's dumb. And I'm like, I'll take this cat, right? Well, I get this cat, right? So now I'm hand feeding him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, I'm hand feeding this fucking cat. I'm buying him this premium food, and I'm like getting him this premium cat litter. And I'm like, nobody's gonna take care of this fucking cat like me, right? So I'm like, all right, I gotta change. So if like the next part of that 7, the other 4, I started writing like, this is how I'm gonna change, and I'm gonna do this all publicly so you can see somebody break down and come back out of it. In that process, I was like, I had another friend of mine that we were like, let's do this on a podcast. So we started the first one.
Yeah.
And then it, conflict of direction. Like, he wanted to go one way, I wanted to go another way. So that's where this all came. So my cat is like extremely important, because like I always tell people, like, if it wasn't for this cat, I would have blown my brains out. You know what I mean? So like, there's always this cat involved in my picture. You know what I mean?
It's kind of badass.
Yeah. So this guy over here laying on the couch, he keeps telling me it's because it's some ancient Egyptian 9 lives cat's doing.
Listen, I'm not gonna lie. That's where my head went. That's literally where my head went. Throat tattoo and all. I was like, of course the cat came into play. You know what I mean? A dead cat.
Oh,
I knew where it went.
You know what? Yeah, I guess.
Fucking dead cat.
Well, he was born dead.
No shit. It's a dead cat.
He was premature.
Dead cat. Living.
Yeah. He was born dead.
That's badass.
Yeah. He's a badass. He's a big ass cat. He's a big ass cat. Like, he's fucking weird. Like, it's funny because he was the runt of the litter, obviously, because he was born dead, and then like, he's huge. Like, he's bigger than the rest of them. Like, I got a friend of mine that has one of the other cats, and like, mine's 10 times bigger than his cat.
That's so
crazy.
Cool.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we can have a cat, and she can. We'll blur her out. I'll probably be more. Just because she's nervous, I'll have to provoke her more.
Bit. Right.
You know?
Yeah. But she was great, man. Yeah, she was actually, she was, the kids took to her. They liked her. I remember my oldest daughter looked at her and said, she's very pretty, but I don't like her. You know what I mean? She was like, Ree was like 11.
You know what? I didn't like her the first time I met her.
Yeah, that's what she said. She's very pretty, Dad, but I don't like her.
First time I met her, she come running up. She's like, "Do you remember me?" I was like, I don't know who the fuck this girl is. Why is she talking to me like this? I was like, I don't know her. And then I was like, oh, she's kind of cool.
She's so sweet, dude. Oh God, I could talk about her for hours.
Yeah. So I mean, that's good, right? Like, so in recovery, like that's your greatest gift, right? Is like, you got your kids. I
got my family.
You got your whole family.
Literally. That and peace
you got
of mind.
you. Right?
Yeah.
So the next question that I ask everybody, or at least that I've been asking everybody so far, we've recorded 3 of these so far today. So you're number 4. So the question I've asked everybody so far is, out of all of this, who are you?
Me?
Yeah.
Personally?
Who are you? Did you figure that out yet?
Yeah, my answer, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a provider, still a grinder, and I'm just, myself. Whether it's fucking doing weird-ass terrible dance moves in my kitchen, or like chasing and stuff. Like, dude, I opened a fucking company up.
Yeah.
Like...
That's awesome.
Never in my life, never ever would I have thought I would have had any of these things. When I never thought I would be married. I have a beautiful, beautiful children. I mean, my oldest daughter, they're fucking good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I think the benefit is like we like did a lot of shit that our parents didn't, and that's like one huge win I can say is like when I question how to be a parent, I do the exact opposite of what my parents did.
There you go.
We like sit down at the table. We have like great conversation. I mean, it is a safe zone. You literally can bring anything to that kitchen table. I remember when my oldest daughter like wanted to go smoke pot and do shit like that, and she brought it to the table and gave us reason and rhyme, and there was nothing. I didn't scream at her. I didn't yell at her. don't you dare do it, don't you do this, you know what I mean? I was able to give her my experience. You know, I said, honey, here's what happens. Like for me, when I do it, here's what happens. Like if you get pulled over, understand you can get a DUI. Like, understand your consequences from the ones that I've already got. Now, if you're okay with making that decision, then by all means, I can't control you.
Yeah.
You know, but my only ground rules: don't bring it in the house. Do not let your brothers and sisters see you like that. And then it turns out, with that aspect, she hated it. She didn't do nothing with it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. She's not like us.
Yeah, she was not. Yeah,
They're not like us.
she's not like us.
So, next question, final question, right? Did you finally learn to love yourself?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
There are still absolutely days where I have like the ability of beating myself up.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
That's everybody.
Could do better. I could be a better husband. I could be a better father. I could. There's something. There's always a way. And I'm not talking about like critiquing and growth. I'm talking about like for real beratement on myself.
Yeah.
But for the most part, dude, I wake up and genuinely enjoy being me.
Nice.
You know, like I just
that's the greatest gift.
Huge.
Right? We couldn't ask for a better gift than that, to be honest with you. Like, because that's all we've been searching for, right?
Yeah.
So, awesome. Did good.
That's it. We can just all right.
So, with that, right? So,
Oh, yeah, that's not bad at all.
So, at the end of the day, right? As always, man, you could have been anywhere in the world. Today, you sat here and chose to be here with us. I greatly appreciate you. I appreciate your time for listening. Hopefully, you heard something. If you did not hear anything, I have more episodes that you can listen to. If not, hey, that's okay too. Pick up the phone and call somebody. Don't call the dope man. Call somebody that actually cares about you and tell them you want to get high. Because if you can just get clean today, just one day, tomorrow looks a little bit better. So that's it, man. And I appreciate you for watching. I appreciate you for coming. Like, share, and subscribe, and then share again and share some more, and tell all your friends to keep subscribing. Thank you.
Thank you for watching.